Today on the grid, we are talking about it is time to get rid of Lightroom Classic. Joining me as always for what will be a lively discussion today is the man's man. He fries it up in a pan. He's not Lieutenant Dan. He has prints he wants to scan. He uses substances that should be banned. His customer service manager is Diane. He's a fan of Jim McMahon. He stole a nuke from Kyrgyzstan. It's the real Rocket Man, Erik Kuna. We have some awesome giveaways that someone watching live today will win, and that may be you, but you won't know until then. And it all starts in just 30 seconds.
The Grid is brought to you by Platypod, the tripod alternative that is changing the world. Everybody has a Platypod. You should too. Go to platypod.com.
Hey, whoa, hi. Hey, hey-oh. I wasn't really paying attention to the counting that they do in the studio. So
yeah.
Not awesome.
Yeah, like one's over there like 5, 4.
And I'm just like, do. Anyway, glad to have you guys here. We have a wild topic today. Our topic is, it's time to get rid of Lightroom Classic. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We have an interesting angle on it that I think will be interesting. We really do want to hear your comments. I put this on Facebook earlier today. There's like 300 comments like that, just boom, 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 boom about it. And people have all kinds of opinions on it. So we will check that out in a few moments. Let's see what else we got going on. We got giveaways today. Oh, Kuna's here. Kuna, there he is, the Kuna man.
I'm here.
K-Man's here. Real quick, can you share? So Kuna went back to the boat. He went back
I went back to the boat, So
boat.
if you watch the grid, you heard the story last time. We went to the boat, the shipwreck up there. I got stuck. That cut into my nighttime shooting. I got a really good twilight shot, which I know you love, but I really wanted to go back and do the nighttime, like the shot I had envisioned with the light painting, a low level light painting, and all that stuff. So, actually, that's the shot right there.
Donna K.
But I don't have my screen. He pulled up my Instagram.
I see your screen.
No, that's his screen.
Oh, that's from the control room?
There, maybe he might have
We have many screens, apparently.
Now.
What's lighting in the inside of the ship?
So I think he can see my screen now. The inside, so the inside of the boat, I have a little, it's called a Goal Zero crush light. So it crushes down to nothing. Yeah. It has a solar panel on it, so I can kind of charge it anywhere. And I just say it's very, very dim, like extremely dim. Like this is a single exposure. So this is all done in one exposure. The light inside the boat is like putting out like 7 lumens, like very, very low.
That's
low
not
light.
A lot of lumens.
Then you've got a light over to the left there, kind of up way high, about 12 feet in the air, about 150, 200 feet away from the boat. Then you have one on the right, kind of doing that fill on the front of the boat.
What are those? What lights are those?
Those two are Lytra Pro lights.
Lytras, all right.
So Lytra Pros with some diffusion on it. And so that's one exposure. So we took that at, that's f2.8, 6400 ISO, 15 seconds. And then I take that through noise reduction, which I have been for a long time a big fan of Topaz's noise reduction. However, I've been using the last couple months kind of going back and forth between Topaz's and DxO's Deep Prime noise reduction. And I have to say, like, this shot is using DxO's Deep Prime noise reduction. It is better.
Wow.
It is it's way better than anything I've found yet.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. That's pretty cool. You guys know that we are just a few weeks away from the iPhone Photography Conference. It is coming up. We are getting a great turnout for this conference. We're very excited about it. We've got some fantastic instructors. We've got all the post-processing stuff that you do on your phone. We've got the camera stuff. I've got a class that I'm doing on my 20 favorite iPhone photography tips, and I got some good stuff. I'm really excited about it. I have a class the day before that it's not so much about the phone, it's about photography. It's what makes a great photo. So I delve into all that. That's a pre-conference that's available to anyone that signs up the day before. And it's
Yeah, I'm super excited too. I got
man, this is
that. I'm
gonna
gonna
be
teach a
great.
class on like all those other things, like doing long exposures on the
Yep.
phone, doing time lapses, stuff like that.
Oh, and Eric's been sending me some of his long exposure stuff.
Yeah.
He's got it down.
Well, I've got a new app so I've been working with the developer because it had some issues and bugs, but we've all worked those out. And I will say that this app for doing long exposures, it is far superior to anything I've used. It really does. It produces results that are better than what a DSLR or mirrorless will do because of what it's doing.
What?
I know, it blows my mind. Like,
All right.
okay, the one thing is you're using an iPhone, 12 megapixels, but honestly, 12 megapixels is plenty fine. And
Yeah,
now,
especially when you're putting it on Instagram. It's going to go on Instagram
but
anyway.
now, honestly, you can print it out huge. You just got to do the upscaling. Now Photoshop
Yep.
has upscaling
Yep.
built in, like really good upscaling. So,
All right.
Yep.
Let's zoom on to our topic. All right, so our topic is it's time to get rid of Lightroom Classic, and I honestly believe it is time.
I agree. When we talk about this,
When we talk
Lightroom
about this
Classic
all the
needs
time, that's
to
how this
go.
stuff comes out. So look, it's time to get rid of Classic and replace it with something better. I
That's
want
it.
Adobe
That's it.
to replace it with something better. Because here's what the problem is Lightroom Classic is old. When you talk to the Lightroom engineers, they're
That's
like,
why they called it Classic.
yeah, this
right?
is built on technology from 15 years ago or whatever. However, when they started doing it, there are all kinds of things that it can't do, right? But I cannot go to Lightroom Cloud. Can I tell you something? I just finished a book on Lightroom, and in it, I was talking to all Lightroom users, so Lightroom Classic users and Lightroom Cloud. You know what that book is full of? That book is packed full of, this doesn't work in Lightroom Cloud. Lightroom Cloud doesn't have this feature. I am stunned at how little.
Wait, is it Lightroom Cloud or is it Lightroom or is it Lightroom
I'm just calling it
CC?
Lightroom Cloud because so people will know what I'm talking about. But the cloud version, there's still so much that's missing. You can't even use a plug-in.
much.
If you have Lightroom for the cloud, not only do you, I'm not going to even go into it all, but I was stunned. I have to be honest with you. There was more missing than I had imagined that there is. I cannot give up all those features. And even if I had a free account and I didn't have to pay for my storage or whatever, and they just said put 12 terabytes up there, great. I can't do it. I cannot give up all those features.
Yeah, it just is missing all that. It's like crippling.
But Lightroom
at certain
Classic
points.
is missing a bunch. Like Lightroom Classic needs a Pro version. I would call it Lightroom Pro, straight up.
Yeah, we talk about. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. There should be a Lightroom Pro, which is taking the features that we need from Classic, putting them into Lightroom,
Yes.
but then taking it a step further and actually making Lightroom Classic better.
Right. And I have a list of stuff that I want to share with you.
I do too. Yeah,
that
we
I
both
would
do.
see in a Pro product.
But we want to hear from you too. Like, that's really what the topic is about. Like, it is time for Lightroom Classic to evolve into something else.
Yes, it needs to evolve.
And they need to drop Classic. And it needs to be a Lightroom Pro version because the Lightroom Cloud CC, whatever, is not a Pro version.
Yeah, and you know what? I got a buddy of mine that lives up north, and I talk to him, on a regular basis. And every time we talk about Lightroom for the cloud, he does not call it Lightroom for the cloud. I kid you not. He calls it Lightroom for children. And he goes, in the child version of Lightroom, they don't let you do this. In the child version, I'm like, it's not the child version. But that's how he refers to it because it is for a consumer crowd.
Right. Well,
where's our Pro product now?
And then there's that whole thing right now that there's a lot of competition out there, and I think that's when it starts getting confusing because there's a lot of competition out there in this space.
All right, but I do want to mention one thing. I briefly looked at some of the comments from the Facebook
post,
and they're all over the place. There's a lot of snarky comments and stuff like that. But there were a number of people. I was surprised after all this time to say, yes, we need a Lightroom that we can buy, no subscription, all this kind of stuff. I just look at me. All right, where's the camera that zooms in close for drama? Listen to me. When Adobe was selling Lightroom, when you could pay $150 and buy it, Their stock was at 50. When you could buy Photoshop, their stock was at $50. Today, Adobe stock is at $500 a share. You were never, ever, ever going to buy Lightroom or Photoshop again as long as any of us live. Get rid of it. You can stop whining about it. You can stop going to the forums and saying all this stuff. When am I going to be able to buy it again? You will never, ever be able to buy it again. It's $10 a month for professional level software. That's $5 for Photoshop, $5 for Lightroom. You buy all this other stuff. You can't even get Netflix for $10. What's it, $12 for Netflix now?
Yeah, $12.99.
You can't even get Netflix, and you don't complain to anybody about that. It's like Netflix, yeah, and I'll pay for my cable box, sure, and I'll subscribe to Hulu, yeah. But Lightroom, that's where I draw the line. That's my breaking point. Guys, let it flippin' go. It's been years they've been subscription only. How many years has it been? 6?
It's been
7?
a while.
It's been a while. Flippin' let it go.
But I understand where people are going though with that. They'd
Yeah,
rather,
but you can go get Capture One. Look how expensive it is.
Yes.
You go get
that's
Capture
where the
One.
other side of
they
it
just
is-
had another update.
is-
It was like another $100-something.
That's the reality. If they were to do a standalone version and price it where it would need to be in the industry, it's probably going to be, back in the day, remember?
They're not going to do it.
Like Photoshop, like $799 or something.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not going to happen. I can't believe
I
we're
agree
still
with you
even
that it's
talking
not going
about
to
it.
happen. I wish it would happen because I do
it would
think
be
it
nice.
would be great.
I would
But
just
that's
be
where,
happy for
again,
those people
with
that
that
we need
stock
to snap
price,
out of it.
with that stock price as high as it is, I think they could make Lightroom Pro.
Yes, they
I
could.
think they could make
absolutely.
Lightroom Pro.
But you got to realize, every time you go into a forum and you write to Adobe about how upset you are about the subscription model.
Yeah, it's
Here's
not
what's
going to
happening
change.
at Adobe.
It's not going to change.
Here's what's happening at Adobe. They're like, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. We're popping champagne corks and stacking up money left and right. And your sound isn't coming through the champagne corking and the confetti and the party that we're at $500 stock. Adobe's the most successful they've ever been in the history of the company. And they're like, you want a perpetual version? It's like a locker room. Picture the locker room of the Super Bowl. That's every day at Adobe, because their stock price is at $500. So just let it go. Seriously, it's got to go.
I wish it
Now-
didn't have to be, but it has to be. We have to let it go.
All right, we are going to take a break so I can calm down. I'm getting the vapors. Calm down. We're going to take a short pause. When we come back, I got a list of what I need and what Erik needs, and we want to hear what you need in Lightroom Pro.
What would your life be like if you knew Photoshop? Look, you've heard about it your whole life. You know it's like the most incredible tool. I've got a class for you called Photoshop for Beginners. It is made for those people that always wanted to learn it. I narrowed it down to 12 things. These are the 12 things I would be telling a friend. Learn these things in Photoshop and you'll know it. Now from there you can branch off and go crazy, but you got to get this basics down first. So come with me on this class. I'm telling you, you're going to learn mind-blowing things. You're going to learn them quick. You're going to be shocked at how easy it is, because we're not learning everything. We're learning 12 important things. Where do you find this class? It's only at Kelby One.
For over 20 years, leading software developer BORIS has made its mark on the film and television industry. Now, our Academy and Emmy Award-winning visual effects tools are available for photographers. Welcome to Optics. Optics is a collection of 160 filters for Photoshop and Lightroom. Simply apply the effect and launch the interface. Optics features thousands of customizable and creative presets for photo editing and effects layering. The top tools include lens flares for cinematic looks, realistic night skies with star fields and moon generator, add lighting with on-screen interactive control. The Easy Mask tool creates masks with just a few clicks. Optics is available now as a plugin for Photoshop and Lightroom and includes the standalone application for macOS and Windows. Get Optics now for 25% off. Visit borisfx.com, add Optics to your cart, and apply coupon code KELBY25.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by B&H Photo, the professional source since 1973.
Hey, we're back on a very contentious grid. We got some shout outs. Who's out there,
Yeah,
Mr.
we
Kuna?
got Mark Slavin's first time watching the grid live in about a year, so there you go.
Yay, Mark.
And then Diane Arnold saying hi from San Diego. We
Hi,
got
Diane.
Deb saying hi from California. Becky G from Goodyear, Arizona. Steve in Baton Rouge saying hi. Karen saying hi. Gary G from Goodyear, Arizona. Nina from Pennsylvania. We got Mike B from Albany. Larry H from Nebraska. Dan from New York. We've got Tanya from Denmark. And then we got Trev Speaks 3 saying hello all the way from Clearwater Beach, Florida, just down the street. So we got everybody. We even got Terry White's in the house. So Terry White.
Terry White's coming to see me
Yeah,
say
come
bad
and get-
things about
yeah,
Lightroom.
he's saying,
I'm going to
uh-oh.
apologize in advance, Terry.
And then let's see. Kendall is saying having both Lightroom Classic and Cloud is way too confusing. I mean, I don't think
agree.
you'd hear any argument from us.
Nope,
I mean,
choose
the
one or the
naming
other.
conventions over the years have been absolutely horrendous.
Choose one or the other.
Horrendous.
Don't choose both. Yeah, it's really, really bad.
Yep. And
All
then
right.
so we're talking about the things like we need to. It'd be nice to have a pro version.
Yes.
Of Lightroom Cloud, of whatever you want to call it, CC Cloud, just Lightroom, a pro version.
Yes.
So it's called
and
Lightroom
we need a
Pro.
sunset date for Classic.
And then
in
saying,
2
like,
years,
yeah,
we're going
Classic
to
is
have
gonna
a
go
fork in the
away.
road. You're either a pro or you're Lightroom for children. You're
It's
either
just
one.
Lightroom Pro.
Yeah,
You get
choose
it.
one.
Like,
Lightroom, Lightroom Pro. Everybody gets it. All right. Okay, you ready to go down the list?
yes.
Remember, we want to hear very specific things so think of a pro version. Now, we can't just go to Photoshop, rob everything from Photoshop and stick it in Lightroom, because then Lightroom would become big and bloated and all that stuff. We have Photoshop. There are a couple of things minor things that I would take from Photoshop, but not layers and not all that stuff.
I would.
We're not going to get that.
I know we're not going to get it.
And here's why. Because what they're doing with
basic.
masking in Lightroom is
Yeah.
designed so you don't have to use layers.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we would need, more
That's what they're
sophisticated
really doing.
masking. Yes,
Yeah.
which is
Well,
on my
yeah.
list.
Well, you can always use more sophisticated masking. That's an ongoing
Yes.
thing. All right, here we go. First, I need one filter. Actually, I need two filters. Two filters from Photoshop. That's it. Smart Sharpen. Can I tell you something? Here's why specifically. Number one, I don't want to say that when you sharpen in Lightroom, you're sharpening blind, but just about. First off, your output sharpening is blind.
Mm-hmm.
When you say, I'm saving this to the screen or I'm saving this, you get no preview whatsoever.
Yeah, you're just shot in the dark.
You're just hoping that it calculates it right, and all you can choose is, low, medium, or high. I mean, basically that's it. So the output sharpening is messed up. It's good math, like the quality of the sharpening is good, but you're going blind. Second is, today we in Lightroom, you were supposed to be able to see the sharpening. You're supposed to sharpen at 100% size. So you got a 59-inch image off these big Sony that you've got, and then you're going to wind up sharpening a square this big.
Yeah, and you're seeing like
Now-
1/100th of your image.
Right, but here's where it gets worse. 59-inch image, big giant image. Then you're going to sharpen it at the size of your laptop, and then you're going to put it on Instagram. How do I know what that sharpening is going to be like? So here's the thing that Photoshop does so much better than Lightroom when it comes to sharpening. You can see the flip and sharpening at different magnifications.
Oh, yeah.
Lightroom will tell you. Lightroom puts a warning on screen.
Yeah, there's that big warning thing that comes up that says, hey.
But I want to be able to do what Photoshop does and actually see the sharpening at every level. I want to be able to see it. When I get it to Instagram, I want to be able to move and go, yep, that's the right amount of sharpening. So much of Lightroom sharpening is done in darkness and it's blind. And it is very hard to make a determination at 59 inches what's going to look good at 1,080 pixels on Instagram. And guys, that's where the world shares their photos. They're not sharing them in giant prints and galleries. They're sharing them on Instagram.
Well, but even if you were, right, having that feature
I still
would be
want to see
great.
the sharpening.
I mean, it would just be great to have
I don't want to
sharpening
just
throughout your
take
Zoom.
the unsharp mask from Photoshop 1 and put Smart Sharpen is brilliant in Photoshop.
Yeah.
It's like the unused, nobody wants to use it. I don't know why, but it never caught on.
Because it's called Smart Sharpen?
Yeah, because it's called Smart. I don't know. If they called it Pro Sharpen, everybody would use it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to see Smart Sharpen come over and the ability to see the sharpening at every different stage. Now, that doesn't mean take away the detail. For the people that like what's there, it's okay. But let's have a smart sharpening feature. Then I want one other filter. The unsharp mask has been in Photoshop since 1.0. I want another 1.0. I want a Gaussian blur. It's just one filter. You built it 30-something years ago.
But Scott, you could just do like negative clarity. And
negative clarity does not look the same. It doesn't look. Gaussian blur is one of the most used filters.
Yep.
It works miracles on all kinds of crazy stuff.
And then you got to take your photo from Lightroom over to Photoshop
go over to use that
just to use Gaussian blur.
It's been around 30-something years. Can you just... That's it. Those are the only two filters. I want to make sure that's correct, but those are the only two filters that are on my list right there. Just two. All right, Erik, give me one of yours, then let's take some...
So, you were talking about sharpening. So another thing that I would love to see is in the detail section is noise reduction to have the same type of, the ability to mask as you would with sharpening. Like I want to mask out and only affect the areas.
Like the sky.
Because it's usually the dark parts of my image that get all noisy.
Yes,
right?
that's what you
So
need.
I want to be able to mask that out, which I could do in DxO, I could do that in Topaz, I could do that in all these different things.
You can do it with sharpening in Lightroom. Why can't you do it with noise reduction?
Yeah, you could. It's right above there. They have
Move
the
the
masking
slider
on
down.
sharpening, but they don't have any kind of masking tool on noise reduction.
Yes.
Why not?
I don't know. But that'll be in
we need a
Lightroom
pro
Pro.
version.
It's a lock.
It just seems
No,
it's like
I love that.
Simple.
That is a perfect, smart. I dig it.
I'd use it.
I'd use it. Everybody
Except
would
I'd
use
probably
it.
be over in DxO.
All right, let's hit some questions and some comments real quick. What do we got here?
So Sherry's saying, I would rather have Lightroom Classic around for a while. And this speaks to, she's saying, transitioning to those of us who aren't working at daily would have a learning curve. Absolutely.
Well, sure. Any new
however,
tool. I don't care if it's an app on your phone. There's a learning curve.
However, I think if you made a pro version, I mean, you're going to have to update at a certain point. There's certain things that the way Lightroom's laid out has been around for a long time.
Yep.
But the basic tools would be there. It would just be adding new features, right? So there's going to be a learning curve.
I don't want to decimate. So Sherry, I don't want to decimate Lightroom Classic. I just want to bring it into the future with new code, and I can go on a little bit more about this in a minute. But Lightroom Classic should be around for a while. I wouldn't pull the plug Thursday and say you're out.
Oh yeah, you got to have a transition period.
But it should be a thing where you're a Lightroom Classic user. You go there and you're like, oh, it's all the stuff I'm used to is here. But there's all this new stuff. And so I'm going to dig into that in just a minute.
So then the next comment, Chris is saying, I refuse to use Lightroom Cloud because everything that was missing from Classic, which, and the other thing is the size of my photo library was way too large to put in the cloud in an affordable manner. And I think that's another pro version. If they were going to make a pro version, they've got to have a way to have you manage your storage.
Okay.
Like we can manage our storage.
This is one of my big things. It's on my list.
Yes.
So one of my big things is I want to, in Lightroom Pro, I want an option to back up my library to the cloud from Lightroom. In other words, I want what Lightroom Cloud has, but I want my images on my computer and on my desk. I want them on my hard drive.
Yeah, you want a version
But
here.
I want an automatic backup version that goes to the cloud. I will gladly pay Adobe for that backup. I'm paying Backblaze. I would pay Adobe. That's 2 bills. I got Backblaze and I got Adobe.
As long as the pricing is similar. As long as the pricing is similar.
Yeah, the pricing has to be reasonable, of course.
Well,
but,
right now it's not. And that's
right,
why we
right
have
now it's too
Backblaze.
expensive. But
Yes.
I want to be able to be in Lightroom and just say, I also want a cloud backup. And I want one other feature. Ready? I want a cloud backup, and I want that entire cloud backup available on mobile.
Yeah, so you can use on your mobile device.
Right, without
that
saying,
same-
I'm just going to sync these 4.
Yeah, just let me use it.
the same technology that Lightroom Cloud uses. In other words, everything's stored in the cloud, and then when you want it, it pulls it down real quick. But that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that. But that's a big thing on my list, right? In fact, I'm marking things off my list here.
Yeah, so you're just saying locally manage the files. Which
Yes.
that's on my list.
Yes.
And then being able to have Lightroom sync the files up to the backup. Make
Yes.
that backup for people who
I
have
want a
bigger
button
libraries.
in Lightroom Pro that says back up all of your images to the cloud, and you go yes, and it says based on the number of images you have in Lightroom, your monthly storage is $14.99, $24.99. Buy. That's it. Right in Lightroom.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
I got one more, and then we'll get some more comments. I want to hear some more of yours, Eric. This is going to be a really simple one. This is a minor thing, but it drives me nuts. Lightroom Pro needs to change all of its names to match whatever the heck is in mobile.
Oh, absolutely.
So look,
Yes.
I'm on Lightroom Classic now. I go to my phone. Look, I have one right here. I go to my phone and I launch Lightroom. What is the lens correction called on my phone? It's called Optics.
Optics, yeah.
It's got a completely different name. All right, so then I want to go to the transform panel. What's it called on my
Geometry?
phone? It's called
Geometry?
Geometry.
Yes.
I want to go and create a collection. Nope, they're called albums.
Albums.
I want to make a collection set.
So
nope,
if that's the way we're moving, if that's the future,
if that's
just,
the future,
I mean,
let's change it.
just change it in Lightroom Classic too.
All right, so I'm gonna spin a twist on this too. The interface for Lightroom Classic is 15 years old. It's 15 years old. It needs a modern interface. It needs modern fonts. It needs to get rid of drop shadows. It needs to have now the look of Lightroom Cloud looks better.
It does. I mean, that's a Lightroom Cloud for like the actual
Aesthetics.
like look and feel aesthetics.
Yeah, the UI.
It looks modern, and then it helps because it also transfers over to a tablet and a phone very well.
Yes.
Right, and that's a key, right? Because we're going to move. A lot of the stuff we do nowadays is on the mobile or tablet as well as the desktop, and you need that. So having that ability to, kind of lay everything out to where it looks modern would be a plus for that, to be able to be on multiple devices.
Yes. All right, give me one of yours.
So I got one. So one of the selling points of Lightroom Cloud is that you have all that power with Adobe Sensei, especially with keywording. That
Yep.
we need to bring Adobe Sensei over to the professional product.
Yes.
I mean, it's not in Classic, which is supposed to be the more professional, version. And it's like, why not? We should be able to leverage that technology.
I just wrote about this on lightroomkillertips.com. So guys, for those of you who aren't familiar with this Adobe Sensei thing, what it is a search feature. And I'll tell you how to get it in Lightroom Classic, but it's not there. Well, you'll have to hear. It's a search feature where you can type in the word, you can go to your Lightroom library and say red, and it will bring you every photo that's primarily red. You could say guitar, every photo of a guitar. Pizza, every photo of a pizza. You could say portrait, outdoors, every shot taken outdoors. So instead of you keywording everything, it's using AI, which that's Adobe's brand of AI is called Adobe Sensei. It looks at your photos and it recognizes that's a banana, that's a person, that's red, that's blue, and then you can search them. You can just search them. All right, you can just literally search them by.
It's marvelously good.
Yeah,
It is
it's
like
surprisingly
miraculously good.
Now, here's what you can do. You can, as a Lightroom Classic user, search your library by going to lightroom.adobe.com to your web version, and in there's Adobe Sensei Search, but it only searches the collections that you've synced to. So it's what Erik is asking for is the right thing, which is just build it into Lightroom Classic. You've built it into Lightroom Cloud, built it into Lightroom Pro, built it into the next version, so that we have, because it's actually very good, and it removes the sticking point that people have with keywording. I'm telling you,
that's
a big one.
Nobody wants to do all that metadata keywording,
metadata
tagging.
stuff is crap. All right, let's take a short pause. When we come back, we've got more stuff on my list. Erik's got stuff. We want to hear your stuff. We're having a lot of people say, I'm unhappy with this and I'm unhappy with that, but they're not saying, here's the thing I need. So maybe we can get some of that, but we'll be right back. Don't go away.
Hi, my name is Rami, and I have a brand new class for you on Kelby 1. And this time is going to be about panoramas, specifically handheld panoramas. Sometimes to show the entire scene, making a panorama is the only way that you can convey the beauty of the place. You're going to know exactly what I did from start to finish, how to take the photograph, how to overlap it, how to stitch it, what your settings should be, and last but not least, how to edit and bring that photograph back to life. So this is what we're going to be talking about, and this is what we're going to be doing. Not only that, I'm going to give you all the files that I have taken so you can actually follow along. By the end of this class, you are going to be able to go out there and take those epic, massive panoramas and bring them to life just like I did over here. Come and join me on my latest class exclusively on kelby1.com.
I'm Jefferson Graham. I'm a Los Angeles writer-photographer, a former USA Today tech columnist, and I've got a great new class for you on Kelby 1.
I'll show you where all the best spots are to get your iconic LA shots so you won't be scrambling to find them when you get here. We'll cover epic travel and street photography, awesome sunsets, do some time lapses and panoramas, and I'll show you how to get amazing photos of the city that, of course, gave birth to the motion picture industry. Then we'll look up at the amazing palm trees of Beverly Hills 90210, catch the top spots for the LA skyline, movie locations, a killer freeway shot, and of course, we'll be ending at the beach for what I hope will be a memorable sunset.
Ready to get started? We're in LA, the birthplace of the movies, so you know what they say. Action!
Hi, I'm Maribel, and I'm so proud to bring to you my first Kelby 1 class. I'm going to help you make your images really stand out. How? By using everyday materials in a creative way. We're also going to discuss how I tap into my creative team, leaning into friends, family, and other creatives to help you bring your vision to life. That'll open up floodgates of other possibilities for you. I'm going to teach you how you can create a really couture Hollywood avant-garde dress that's not necessarily bought, but created at home, yet has the same visual impact as a really expensive Hollywood gown. It's all about teamwork. Guys, we're not going to just take a photo, we're making a photo. If you want to learn how to make creative portraits out of everyday material, come watch my class at kelby1.com.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Canon.
Hey, we're back. Wow, lots of comments, lots of discussion. This is great. So Marianne asks, isn't the Pro product Photoshop? No. The Pro product is not Photoshop. Photoshop does not organize your images. Photoshop doesn't do a whole lot of things that Lightroom does. And the bridge is trash. There's a reason why it's free. It's awful. So the Pro product is not Photoshop. Photoshop is where you go when you can't do something in Lightroom. They were born to work together. They work brilliantly well together. The round trip is great unless you're using the cloud version. Did you know, Mr. Kuna, did you know that if you are in Lightroom Cloud and you go to Photoshop and you do something with layers and you come back to Lightroom Cloud, it automatically flattens your layers.
Yes.
And you can't get them back.
Yep.
They're gone forever.
Yep.
It's stuff like that.
Yes,
okay, back to our story.
Well, and that's where, you know, when you get into it, like there is a big thing that we're getting comments about with the storage of files, right? And Lightroom, because that's what, like Todd's saying here, is photo backups are great on the cloud, but not the program itself. Those of us in rural areas don't always have the internet bandwidth to use Lightroom online.
Right. So, Tom, when I'm talking about Lightroom Pro having this feature, it would be an optional feature. Your photos
like an
are
on
still
and off thing.
Yeah, like you can turn it on if you want, or you can turn it off, but that's something you pay extra for. I'm fine paying extra for it if it's an option. But what you could do, Tom, is do what I do with Backblaze. Man, it takes months to do your initial backup with Backblaze, right?
You can actually send them a hard drive too.
You can't send them hard drives,
you can
true.
send them a hard drive.
But
yeah. Which if you were in that environment, I would always suggest sending a hard drive.
Tom, I would send, at this point in your life, I would make a backup of all of your photos, send that hard drive to Backblaze. They'll put it in the cloud for you, and then you could do incremental.
Then you're
backups.
just doing the incrementer. You only need back up a card.
Yeah.
It's just backing up that card.
But this is an issue. This whole being connected to the internet all the time is an issue.
Yeah, and that because right now we don't have like an on off, and that's what we're talking about here in the Pro version. Is
I want to make it clear.
Give the ability to back up however you want.
That's just backup. It wouldn't affect your everyday work, right? So we're not talking about that. Okay.
Yes.
So I got a couple more features.
Yes.
All right, let me close this one. All right, the next one is something I've been only griping about every day for 10 years. I still have to use a separate program called Photo Mechanic. I paid $150 for it so that I can quickly go and find the photos I need.
Like the selects.
Like sometimes I just did a shoot and I've got, well, let's just say I want to put something on Instagram and I shot 700 photos. I'm at an air show, I shot 700 photos. I only need one or two. And I know the one or two I want. I remember when I shot it. I just want to get to those one or two. Number one, this is interesting. You know this. Yes. Photo Mechanic, if I am shooting and I see a photo I like, I can mark it as like a pic in my camera. Doesn't matter whether it's a Nikon or Canon or you can,
they've got a feature to mark.
And Photo Mechanic, when you bring your photos in, will only open the ones you marked. You can say, just show me the good ones, and it'll mark those. I need that in Lightroom, but I need the speed of Photo Mechanic's thumbnails and full screen previews. Guys, you can't hit the button fast enough.
On a different
full screen.
Plane.
Full screen. Bang, 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 bang. Lightroom is still nowhere near there. I would say that Lightroom is half the speed.
And they always are improving the speed. Always improving the speed. And it gets better.
But it never gets to that.
But it's not even close to where Photo Mechanic is.
Not even close. Not even in the ballpark. And that's why you see, you go to a sports shoot and there's 50 photographers there. All 50 of them are using Photo Mechanic. You can't. They couldn't live without it. They got 12 minutes on halftime to get the photos up. If you had to use Lightroom, it's game over. So I want that kind of speed. I don't really complain about the develop module. My sliders move, things happen. The brush moves fine, all that stuff. But the generation of thumbnails, I need it to be fast. Okay. All right, that's one. All right, I'm bringing one more feature over, just one, from Photoshop. I just want you to fix the feature in Lightroom. The Lightroom healing brush is so bad. Erik, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the healing brush in Photoshop.
That was next on my list, is healing brush and clone stamp.
I don't even need the clone stamp. The clone stamp would be nice.
Would be nice.
But calling it the healing brush is the biggest disservice you can do. The Photoshop healing brush is absolutely brilliant. It's one of the greatest technological achievements of digital imaging.
The repair of, it's just like
the spot removal tool, also called the healing brush in cloud, is trash.
Yes.
It's awful. It's the worst thing. It barely does anything, and all it's good for is removing a spot that might be a piece of sensor dust by itself, and even then it's a 50-50 guess if it works.
For those people that have, they're shooting this awesome shot, and then they're like, oh man, my sensor was so dirty, and they got all these sensor spots, and then you see their Lightroom healing brush, and it's just all these dots all over the place, and it's like,
look,
yeah.
You made the healing brush so many years ago. Give us the real healing brush.
And it's awesome in Photoshop.
It's incredible in Photoshop. Just give us the real thing. That's it.
Yeah, so healing brush, definitely. Clone stamp tool would be nice. So,
all right, I only have a few more.
I got one on the list. So, content aware, bringing over content aware fill and content aware scale, right? I mean, these are technologies that we use a lot. That it'd be just nice to have it over in a pro version of Lightroom. Can
I tell you why though, Eric? Can I expand on what you're saying? Because I'm so with Eric on this. You go to the lens correction module.
Yes.
You have a building leaning back, right? You fix it.
The little edge.
And there's two big white corners. The only thing you can do is crop it away.
That's it.
Or go to Photoshop and use content aware fill.
If it was just like a feature that just turned on content aware, you just had a little content aware, so when you're doing the geometry, and then it would content aware, and then if I don't like it, I can just turn it off.
But wait. This feature is already in Lightroom. It's in the pano panel. When you go to make a pano, if there's white edges after it stitches this together, there's a checkbox, and it's content aware fill. Why would you put it there? But we're not going to put it where we need it.
So the technology is there.
It's in Lightroom.
We have the ability to do it, but we can't do it on every image.
It's there. It's already there. So you're going to say, we'll let you do it for panos. But if you know what? Instagram. You want to put an image that fits perfectly on Instagram. And what do you wind up with? Gaps and different things.
Yeah.
You could fill those because you want to proportionally be correct. So you wind up with a gap at the top or a gap at the bottom, and now what am I going to do? I'm going to recrop.
And it's usually for those little small areas. You get little small edges.
Checkbox that fills it in. It works amazingly well in the pano thing.
Yep.
But can we get it for cropping? No. Nope. That would have to be there. I'm marking that one off my list.
Content aware and content fill and scale.
Dude, I'm so with you on that.
Yep.
All right. Let's get some comments.
Yeah. So this is an interesting one because Steven's saying, my fear is that adding Pro would make it run like $50 a month range. I do free photography for charitable organizations, and that $10 a month makes it possible for a retired person. But I still need professional level tools, and the child version is not suitable for me. So no matter what I do, pro level tool is, so no matter what they do,
they're not going to go to $50 a month.
They're
not going to add 10 features and go to $50 a month.
But
that's unrealistic.
But
Steven,
let me say, so maybe that's something we say. We would pay more.
I'd pay $14.95.
We would pay more for a pro level.
$5 a month to use.
$20 a month?
I would pay $20 a month. This is a professional.
But that's
tool.
what it is. Like I think $20. You got to think $20 a month would be doubling what it is now.
Yeah.
Like that seems like okay, pro version.
I would still pay for it. Now I'm
so,
paying like
now
what you pay
$50 a month. I'm with you. Like $50 a month.
$50 a month, and I'd be like,
that's too much.
No, but 15 without a thought.
15,
20, sure. 25. Now I'm starting to go.
We're starting to get up.
Yeah,
there.
it has to be. Everything has to be a reasonable price. Backup has to be a reasonable price. The thing, but $10 a month, and it's been $10 a month since it came out. I can't believe it's still $10 a month. I can't believe it.
And Brandon's saying something. I think where he's going, I can see, is make them all the same. That is definitely an option. Here's the problem: they have a stock price. They're never going to make them all the same.
Well, also, you don't want to give. You would overwhelm the children.
That's the thing. You would overwhelm. You want a level of the program that's like, it's like Photoshop Elements versus Photoshop.
Hey, I just realized we just coined a name for people who use Lightroom Cloud. Children. No, just kidding.
Oh, please. Now
it's
we're
for the
get
kids.
Letters.
Hey, it's for the kids. All right. JP Sylvan.
Yeah, saying, I use Lightroom Mobile on an iPad and Classic on the Mac. Collections not syncing is a nightmare.
I don't know why his collections aren't syncing.
Yeah.
My collection's all synced. Do your collection sync? JP, we got another issue. It shouldn't. Your collection should be syncing, no problem. All right, we already talked about that. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things left. Eric, give us one more and we're going to take a break.
Let's see. Oh, I got one. It's a new feature in Photoshop, but if they brought it over to Lightroom Pro, I just need sky replacements. If I could have sky replacements.
I never even thought of that.
I mean, you thought, and now I know this would be tricky because the way they do sky replacements in Photoshop, it requires layers.
It's going to use a mask.
But it could just use a mask. It could just use a simple mask.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool. Because that's where you jump over to Photoshop to do those sky replacements. So it seems like it's something we could do.
I love that. I love it. I'm loving it. All right. When we come back,
we'll be fine with a mask.
I got 5 good ones still there. And we still want to hear your comments too.
Yeah.
And by the way, just as a reminder, they're not going to sell it perpetually. No perpetual license. Just move on. Netflix. No problem with Netflix. It's fine. 12.
Hey, I'm Jeff Leinbach here. I'm bringing you a new class. I had so much fun doing what to shoot when there's nothing to shoot here on Kelby 1 that I decided to expand it, give you what to shoot to. So in this class, there's more places to shoot, more ideas, more photo helps, more self-assignments. We're going to show you ways to work a scene, to get something that's extraordinary from an ordinary image. We're also going to show you that the world's happening all around you, 360 degrees. Things are happening above you, below you, beside you, in front of you, behind you. You need to look in all directions to capture good photographs because they're everywhere. We're going to show you ways to bring more life into your images by simply just twisting your camera a little bit. We call it being tilted. It's okay to be tilted once in a while if you're going to get more dynamic images from it. It's all about more. So just to give you more ideas to motivate you to get out and photograph. Join me on my latest class at kelby1.com.
Would you believe us if we told you that you could fit studio lighting in your pocket? Well, Lytra has made it possible. Lytra is a global award-winning brand that designs and manufactures professional-grade camera lights that are compact, rugged, and waterproof. Whether you're using Lytra gear in a photo studio or underwater, Lytra's mission is to provide content creators with flexible and unlimited lighting tools that can mount on any camera, anywhere. Their lights come with a high CRI or color rendering index, making them some of the most color accurate lights in the industry. Due to the light's compact and rugged design, photographers are able to use the lights in ways that their studio lighting never could. Lytra has also made multiple lighting accessories available to fit your every need as a creator. Whether you're shooting portraits, nailing a product shot, or even flying your drone, they have got you covered. Lytra enables photographers and filmmakers to focus on their craft and create something beautiful. What will you create?
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Platypod, the world's most compact tripod base.
Make sure you don't miss any episodes of The Grid by subscribing to Apple's podcast app or iTunes. It's free, and we even have a special audio-only version too. So sign up today.
Hey, Scott Kelby here with Erik, Kuna. We are back, and let's see.
Yeah, you got a few more that we got to rattle off with.
I got 10 minutes
offload
left. These. Hey, by the way, we haven't even talked about our giveaways today. We have great giveaways. Here's what we're giving away. We're giving away a Platypod Ultra, but it's a little bit better than that. It's hard to believe it's better, but an iPod. So here's the difference. If you win this, you're also going to get to buy, you can get 50% off of anything in the Platypod store. So you get the Platypod for free, but then you could go get a Platypod Max, you could go get the accessory kit, you could get goosenecks, whatever you want. For 2 weeks, you get 50% off of anything in their store, which is really pretty good. So
awesome.
That's somebody's going to win that whole bundle, which is the Platypod and a 50% discount to anything in their store. We have my new book on the iPhone photography book right here. If you have children, come on. We're giving away the hard copy version of that, and we are also giving away a copy of BORIS Effects Optics. I did a webinar with them last week. That is just the coolest software, isn't it? I mean, it does stuff.
It is really cool software.
I had a photo from North Carolina that it was a pano, and I thought, it was always missing something, and I put that something in BORIS, and now it went from Flat to fabulous in one click.
Flat to fabulous.
Well, it took 2 clicks, but still, it was really, really good. All right. We're giving away all of that today, so that's coming up. How do you enter? Just give us a comment. Tell us what you want to win. Just go, I want to win the book. I want to win Boris Effects. I want to win the Platypod. Just put it in there, and we'll pick some winners here in just a minute. A lot of you already know that stuff, but for those of you who are watching, you know. Okay.
Yeah, and Terry had a comment to the early one. Linda was talking about, like, isn't Photoshop the pro version, right? And Terry's saying Lightroom is not just about the edits; it's more about the organization, right?
Yeah, it's
and that's really what we're saying.
Strength.
Is like, and that's really where it does have its strength versus a lot of the other products you hear people talk about.
Yes.
However, organization kind of ranks low sometimes on our scale of what we're interested in.
It's
we want
a huge
the cool
pain
edits.
point.
It's a huge pain point.
But when we say what we want whiz-bang stuff. All right, I got 5 things left. Number 1, and it goes on to organization. I want to simplify the import process. I want an option. So years ago, before Lightroom Cloud was born, they introduced a brand new import window. It was very, very simple, and it was very nice. And the import window today in Lightroom Cloud version is also very nice. It looks good. It is, I just want an option to have that. I want either the simple import or the pro import, but I want both in the same program. Because one of the barriers to entry to learning Lightroom at all is the entire import process. So it would be great for new users that are going to Lightroom Pro. Now, you might be a full-time working professional, but you're not good at Lightroom, right? That's very common. This would help you to get going. And honestly, a lot of the times, I don't use a ton of the stuff in the Pro import window.
Right.
Leave that one. Don't take it away. But add a simplified version with bigger thumbnails and cleaner and all that stuff like the Cloud version has. That's number 1. Number 2. It's time for the print module to get a big update. So first off, you want to go and put some type in, right? In the book module, you've got great type controls. You can put type pretty much anywhere you want it, make it sizes that you want it. You can choose the kerning and the leading and the spacing and all that. None of that exists in the print module. None of it. Printing is one of the best things in Lightroom. It is the best program to print I've ever used in my life. It's phenomenal, but when it comes to text, it is horrendous. It is your whatever word processor that you have on your computer, text edit on my Mac, blows away the type capabilities of the print module. Just a note to Adobe, you invented digital type. That's yours. You've had it for 30-something years. The reason why there is a company called Adobe is because of PostScript. You have the module. Take it from the book module and stick it in the print module. So now we can have real type. You don't even have to worry about what should it look like. You've already designed it. It's kind of like content-aware fill.
Yeah,
it's already there. Move it one module over so we can use it in print. That would be huge. All right. So let's let that go. Next. Oh, also on the print. I want to be able to do what you do in the book module. They've conquered this stuff for the book module. Let me put a photo on the page and make it any size and shape I want. That's it. Now, engineers at Adobe would say, well, technically you can if you go to the custom layout and you create a frame and then you drag an image into a frame and then you could No, I want regular here's a photo and I can move it anywhere I want. Anywhere on the page. I don't have to use sliders, margins. I don't have to do any of that crap. I can just take a photo without making a frame first, without doing any of that. Make a 5x7 frame and then change it to the size of your foot. Just let me do it like you let me. And one module over is brilliance. Right. They've done so good with their book module, and they get to print, and it's like, how much different is the print module 12 years later than it was when it first came out?
Yeah, you would think.
It's got 15% maybe better. That's it.
One thing, and book is like multiple pages of things. That's really
all right, difference. While we're at it, let's just get past that one.
Yeah.
In Lightroom Classic, you have a slideshow module. It's awful. It's terrible. Guys, it's 2021. How hard is it to make a slideshow? Do you know that you can't even put 2 pictures on a slideshow? You get 1 picture. Can I put 2? No. 3? No. Any more? No. How many? 1. And you have to use little guides to slide it around. You can't put it where you want. It's so limited. just give us a good slideshow. Come on. You cannot be that hard to create a slideshow. It's just a slideshow. By the way, back on text. Can I tell you something about text?
Adobe owns a lot of the digital.
You can go to Adobe's free program, Adobe Spark, right? Go to Adobe Spark, Spark Post,
yes.
Spark Page. You've got tremendous use over type. You can do all kinds of incredible stuff. One click, and here's all this great type and all these features. That's free. But when you go to the program Lightroom that you pay for, now it's like the first day of type ever. It's
what happens with this stuff, and I think that's why I think the advocating for a pro version is like rewriting from the ground up using the new technology, rather than a lot of the reasons that the things you're talking about is they came out with that feature version 2, version 3 of Lightroom, and it hasn't changed.
Yes, it has not changed.
So the fundamental core of that hasn't changed. So that's why it's outdated and it looks old and
all that stuff. So just give us a reasonable slideshow. It doesn't need to be the slideshow that breaks the bank, but it needs to be good enough to where if you need to do a slideshow, you can do it.
Yes, and all these little things like this is what has people wondering about other products out there, because there are other products out there that I've played with, and used that are like, they're like, wow, I wish Lightroom had this, or wow, this Lightroom had that. And it's like, well, but this was a one-time only $50 program.
Yep. All right, one last thing. We need actual built into Lightroom, not going to the web, not going to a website, built into Lightroom, actual client proofing with watermarks. There are people that are going to be selling, like they went and shot a baseball game and they want to sell it to all the kids' parents. If they don't put watermarks on them, the parents will just pull them right off the site. They don't care how big they are and stuff. So you need professional proofing, professional level client proofing that you do through Lightroom, and you have real feedback, all that stuff. There's the whole proofing thing. Now they have something in a technology preview that's kind of hanging out there. It needs to go. It needs to move on, and it needs to have a real proofing with watermark. So those are the things. Hey, do you have anything else on your list that I'm missing?
I mean, I started getting down to like some really and really I think then when you start getting down to some of these things, it'd be like edge cases or use cases. Like, for example, I like the ability to, we don't have a way of adding annotations to our photos. That's really just for me for later. Like, hey, I want to do this to the photo because I'm going to come back to it. But those are silly ones like that.
No, wait. That brought up something though. In the print module, you can ask to put the file name below the photo. But it shows up in 12-point type. You have you can't change the font.
Right.
You can't change its place on the screen. So you can't make it look good. You can't make it look good. And that little stuff like that, though, makes a difference. Here's one. Ready for this? This is going to sound crazy. You have an image in Lightroom. You want to put a 2-inch border around it, a white border.
Right.
The only way to do that is to go to the print module, shrink your photo down so it fits on the page smaller, and then save that out as a JPEG. Shouldn't you be able at any time to say, I want a 1-inch border around my photo? I just want 1-inch white space, 2-inch white space, 4 inches of white space, like you can do in Photoshop since version 1.0. It's 35-year-old technology. That's all I got.
Yep.
All right, Erik, let's give away some prizes.
Yes, let's definitely give away some prizes.
Let's prize up.
So it looks like, Mark Slavin has won Scott's iPhone book. Then we got Grego has won the Boris Effects, and then Tom Good won the Platypod Ultra with the 50% off. So if you just email us over there at gridprize@kelby1.com, we'll verify your information and then send you your prize.
Hey, I'm seeing some comments here on the Facebook feed here, and we broadcast in multiple places, but this is a good one. Earth Oliver said, a dang social media module for, oh God, it just moved.
No, I know what you're talking about. I know what he's talking about, yes.
No, wouldn't that be nice?
Yes.
An export thing just for social media.
Social media.
Here's the rights. There it is. And a dang social media module for cropping, resolution, and output with options for colored margins.
Absolutely.
Yes, Earth Oliver.
Well, that actually should be something, honestly, that just should be in Lightroom. Like,
yes.
Just Lightroom.
Just put it in an export module. Yes, absolutely. Man, there's so many good things in here. So this one, Earth Oliver said, so many of Adobe's products are either stuck in the 90s or in Lightroom's case, stuck in 2006.
That's what it is. It's 2006, 2007, 2008 when it was really starting to get developed, and then it kind of just stuck there.
Yeah, there's 739 comments on this one, and we have 1,000 comments on this topic today. And so it goes through here, and
yeah. So the bottom line.
Ooh. Ouch, it's getting.
Yeah.
Somebody wrote something and the crowd turned against him.
Yes.
It's not me. This time I dodged the bullet, but. All right. Well, guys, thank you. This has been a very interesting discussion. But man, I would kill for that product. I would pay for the backup. So think about it this way. I would pay for the backup separately. I'm already paying for backup. You're paying for backup?
Yes. And then that's where, as long as you have an option to not pay for, to not do the backup.
Yeah, it's an option.
Yes.
Right? It is an option. So I don't want to take away stuff from Lightroom Classic. It's just time that it got updated with a new UI. Some of the stuff needs to, like you said, the noise needs to have.
Yeah, like just silly little stuff. But then there's that more advanced stuff that we were talking about.
Yeah, and sharpening.
Yeah.
All that stuff. I would pay more money for it.
Yeah,
for sure.
So that's the point. Is we would pay more money for that. We would pay more money and then storage, but we can't go over to use a product that is missing tons of stuff.
Right. I can't go backwards. I can't go, just like people wrote here in the thing, I can't go to the child version because there's just so much stuff missing. The fact that you can't even use a plugin. I can't open Luminar. I can't open Topaz. I can't open the Nik collection. Can't open DxO. Can't open On1. Can't do any of that stuff.
Well, you even did a post where you talked about, even the UI, if they updated the UI to the modern one, which they totally, you've got to figure, they're doing it over in Lightroom.
Well, yeah, they could just take the Lightroom Classic one and just bring it up to date with the look of the other one.
They could, and it would at least be a step in the right direction.
Yeah, at least, and how hard would that be, right? To change the fonts and get rid of the stupid looking stuff and make it look modern.
Yeah, it seems like, it's already there. Come on.
And have you really looked, Erik, at what's different because I've done this, between the Lightroom Cloud interface and the Lightroom interface? It's one has modern looking buttons and one doesn't. It's not like you got to do a bunch. It's just they don't want to. You know why? Because they're waiting to create this pro product. Am I right? Can I get a whoop whoop in the chat? All right. Well, thanks to all of my crew here. Thanks to Christina and her team. Thanks to Mr. Kuna for coming up with great lists and all that and sharing his cool photo with us. Thanks to you all for watching. Thanks to all of our sponsors. We got anything exciting next week for the grid?
Not that I can think of. However, we're only a couple weeks away from the iPhone conference, so we'll have that.
That's going to be fun.
That's going to be fun.
Also, shout out to my daughter who may or may not be watching today.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't use her real name, because we just don't do that. Yeah, I have children. We hide them. We hide your children. That's us. So anyway, but thanks so much for watching. Have a great week, and we'll catch you next week here on the grid in Kuna Town.